Grand Prix Project podcast.
Okay, welcome once again to the Grand Prix Project. This is the MotoGP edition Qatar review. I'm with me, your host, Andre Miller, and the big bro.
Neil Thanos. What's up, bro? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. Yep. What a weekend we've had. What a weekend we've had.
Marquez making everybody look like the amateurs.
Yeah, it was a good weekend. What was it? Regular schedule resumed after the Kota blunder.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And it was a big statement. This race was a big statement race as well.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Yeah, it started the weekend fast. Peco was showing some sign. So yeah, Ducatis was just firming Aldeguer looked fast. The Ducati was just doing their thing. But yeah, let's rock into it in terms of like, where do we start? Right, you want to start from the sprint, or you just want to go into qualifying? You want to start from qualifying, or you just want to go straight into the sprint?
Whichever, because obviously qualifying first, isn't it?
Yeah. Qualifying, it was, I just say, business as usual. Marc Marquez put the thing on pole, right? Alex,
Which on the lap he put it on pole. He didn't think he was going to put it on pole because he was actually down on time. In the middle sector he was down.
Yeah, I looked at that, I'm like, and then I saw him, I'm like, oh my God, where did he get the pick?
What is it? Put it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he got a good run in out the last corners and a bit of slipstream as well.
Set him up the right way.
So
his Bravo was in second again, missed the second place. Alex doing his thing. Once again, I'll keep learning this out. I don't think it's a fluke. I think he's here. And we're going to get to that, what happened in the race. Your man Fabio qualified third.
Yep.
Qualified third.
Whilst that was nice, oh God, I'm still having nightmares about Yamaha just not it for me right now, bro.
All right, then.
Not it.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have a whole different thing on Yamaha, right? But I don't think they're as bad as you're making them out, but we'll have that conversation another time.
Oh, they're worse.
But yeah, let's think one more in the qualifying. Peco qualifying 11th after crashing out.
Was he 11th? No, he wasn't 11th. He
qualified
was
11th.
No, he was
qualified 11th. Looking at it right now.
After crashing.
Qualified 11th.
Oh God!
Right, only person was behind him in Q2 was Pedro Acosta down in 12th. Johann Zarco did a good weekend. He qualified 7th. Right, Maverick Vinales in 6th.
Yeah, we got our usual once in a year sighting of Maverick.
And the rookie I told you he's coming. He's gonna find his way. Firmin Aldeguer, he's in 8th. So. Yeah, it was a good qualifying session. Some good riders in there. Ayagora, top 10, qualified in 10. So yeah, that's on the qualifying
Trackhouse.
Yeah, but yeah, let's get into the sprint. Right, Pecco continues to struggle in sprints, and from my understanding, he's saying there's an issue with the 12-liter sprint tank. Right.
In what way? Issue in what
I think from what he's saying is it gives the bike a whole different feel. I'm not sure if it's a balance issue, but he just doesn't feel as comfortable on that bike with that tank in sprint trim.
So hold on, let me see if I understand it. So they use two different tanks between sprint and the main race.
One of the tanks is 22 liter or 22 gallons. What do you use? Liter? What do you use? Liters or gallons? Liters. And the sprint tank is 12, so it's basically 50%.
Yeah, but my thing is, because the gas tank is not the one that we see.
No.
because a lot of people think
No, that's
that big thing at the top is actually the gas tank. The gas
road
tank,
bike is not on a MotoGP bike.
that's not it. The gas tank is pretty much right, like somewhat beneath the
Probably
seat,
center
just
of the bike.
just behind the engine. That's basically where it's down really low. I didn't know they had an interchangeable one
Yeah, it's
that they use. I thought they just used the same gas tank and just run it with the least amount of the required amount of fuel they need.
No, it's a whole different.
Okay.
Because you got to remember, if you use that tank, it's too much checks and balances at that point, and then
in what way?
In terms of you're gonna really have to be checking these bikes. It's easier to say, hey, this is the tank you got to run. It holds 12 liters, and that's it. There's no way you're gonna cheat that one.
Yeah, but again, I don't know. You have to check it still. You can't just. They have to produce a scrutiny report to verify that there's 12 liters in the bike. You can't just say,
which is why
tank holds 12 liters.
They run a tank just to eradicate the issue of even someone. Oh, we made a mistake. It was over by half a liter. Nah, there's a tank that only holds 14 or 12. I think 12. That's what you run.
Okay.
And Pecco has been having this issue for a while, right? And now the way I'm looking at it is that now it's got to become an adaptable situation. Bro, you got to adapt, right? Because they've been running these sprint races for long enough for you to be able to at least figure it out by now.
Yeah, but what if the issue he's having, it's a balance thing? So by running with that least amount of fuel, it throws the balance off, which then probably throws off the center of gravity, and then he finds it more difficult to maneuver the bike.
It's a non-issue though, because no other rider on the grid is having that issue.
Yeah, but not because no one else is having it doesn't mean it's an issue. It can't be an issue for him. So
that's what I'm asking you. They're not going to change it, because if it was a situation where most riders be like, hey, it throws our motorcycle, it doesn't work. Now it becomes, okay, we probably have to look into that, but it's only one rider. So he's going to have to figure it out.
But hold on, is the tank a standard issue tank? No, it's
but
not.
What I'm saying to you, it's still a 14-liter tank. However it fits in the bike.
Yeah, but okay, but my counter to that is, since it's not a standard issue tank, and if he's having issue with that, why not he just go back to the normal tank he would use, put the required amount of fuel in it?
You cannot do that. It's illegal. You have to run.
How's it illegal?
A 12-liter tank for the sprint. You cannot run. It has to be a 12-liter tank. It's two different tanks.
Oh, okay.
24, which is for the main race, I think, or 22. And then for a sprint, you have to use the 50% tank, which is a 12-liter tank.
Okay.
That's why everyone's like, nah, it's two different tanks. Because it closes any loopholes for any overfilling, right? And because that's listen to everyone about, why not just let them run it off? Nah, that's not going to work. You're trying to close down all gray areas, right? So you got to run a 12-liter tank, which holds 12 liters of fuel for the sprint. So at this point, Pecco has been having this issue. He's the only one that's having the issue. Even if we could say, take about the rest of the manufacturers, on a Ducati, he's the only one that's having the issue. So now they're looking at him like, hey man, you got to figure it out. Right? So for me, that's what I'm going to put it to. It's adaptive. You got to figure out how to adapt. Right? I don't know if he's going to do it.
True.
You got to adapt. We're on 3 years now. It's the same song. So now they're looking at you like, really?
But was that the issue you had last year?
He's always had that issue. That's what I'm saying. He's always had the issue with the tank. That's always been his issue with the sprint. The tank, he said, it does something to the bike, but man, he's the only one with the problem. So for me, you got to adapt. You got to figure out how to adapt to it. And that's that.
Yeah, but it's still the team's responsibility to help him fix whatever problem that is.
Yeah.
They can't just say to him, adapt, because it's clear that, he's having issues and that's affecting his performance. So it's incumbent on them to,
and you're right,
work with him to fix it.
Probably fixing it requires a whole new design of the fuel tank, right? And then probably what you're looking at, okay, we design a whole new fuel tank, and then it throws other areas of the bike. So now we're going to have this issue. Now, okay, we give you a whole different fuel tank. Now you're having other issues. I don't think they want to take that risk.
Fair enough. But at the same time,
development is not cheap. You're asking to go back to the drawing board and design a whole new fuel tank that no other rider is having an issue with. That's going to be tough.
But how much of big of a design change would it be? Because again, it's just like it's literally placed where it's placed, and it's just like it's pretty standard.
Good question. So now my counter to that is then what can you do if it's placed where it's placed, wherever it fits in, shapes how it shapes? What do you do in that situation? You see how that could throw other things?
Mm-hmm.
You just got to adapt, man.
Yeah.
I think that you just got to figure out how to adapt to that.
Well, I mean, like you say, he could be using as an excuse to mask his poor performance, or he could genuinely have having a problem.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that he doesn't have an issue.
Because
I'm saying it's been long enough now. It's been 2 years. We're going on 3 years, and Peco is still having issue with the same gas tank, right? So it comes back to what I just said to you. When you want to get into certain conversation, you got to learn to adapt. You got to figure it out.
So then Ducati didn't really address his issue then.
But that's what I'm saying to you. How can you address the issue? We have 6 bikes now on the grid. We had 8 before, and you're the only person that's having that issue. We won the championship with one of our. So you just got to put yourself in a position of being the business owner or the engineer. So I've got 8 bikes. The 6 of them are doing good and are doing great, right? You're asking them to go back to the drawing board just for one. They're not going to do that. They're going to look at you to adapt.
True.
If it was a 50-50 split or something, they would probably be like, you know what? Probably there's a fundamental issue with the tank, but it's on one person.
Mm-hmm. Or possibly other people are having the similar issues.
They adapt to it.
Again, they adapt to it, like you said. So, again, I mean, that's a Peco problem that he's going to have to solve. And that's just one. I think that's the least of his problem right now, to be honest. So that's the least of his problem right now. That on the list of if you rank it on the list of things issues he has to worry about, that's probably dead last right now.
And so as I say, this is Marc assumed regular schedule in Qatar. After his quota blunder, we already covered that, right? We already covered that. So Alex Marquez, second place of the season.
How many races we've had?
8 races.
Yeah. So yep.
Right.
Well, it's consistent.
Right. So we're gonna get to him further in the main race, and then Quartararo, as we said, qualified third. Didn't make it to the podium, but at least he put it on the box in the qualifying. So he's doing his thing. I guess.
Where did he finish? Finished 5th? Yeah, I mean, problem with Yamaha is that they give you flashes, and you think maybe, but then once the race starts, you go, yeah, it's not. You're still not there. You're still miles off the pace of everybody else. You're not there, and you'd think it would mean something positive, because one of the problems Quartararo had last year was once they go into qualifying and they put the soft tires in, the bike wouldn't work for him.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like somewhat it's working now. He's putting it up there, but then when you get into the race, the bike is slow. He can't fight for the podium positions, and it's rather depressing, to be honest, because I think if he had the right machinery, he'd be up there.
Yeah, he's a top rider.
Challenging as well.
He's a top rider, so I have no doubt. Yeah, so that's really the sprint. I didn't want to live on the sprint too long because the race itself, there was a lot.
Yeah, because I mean the sprint was pretty much pretty boring, and
Right,
there wasn't really much to it. But I think qualifying on the sprint was a statement for Marc.
Yeah.
It sent a message.
But let's go over. Let's do that over on the main race.
Yep.
Over on the main race. So fast forward to Sunday. I want to start off with it was good to see Martín back, right? But he crashed again and injured 11 fractured ribs. I think they said a collapsed lung or some.
Yeah, the collapsed lung.
There's a word for it. There's a medical term. But yeah, there's something with his lungs with fluid in his chest or something like that. And
so he's not going to be in Spain then?
He's not. He's still in Qatar. He cannot leave Qatar until the doctor said. Because remember, this happened to John McPhee and it also happened to Jake Dixon. I think John McPhee in Australia. And where did it happen to Dixon? I don't remember where it happened to Jake Dixon, but when it happens, you cannot fly. So he's probably going to be in Qatar for at least another week and a half.
Yeah, you know what? When I saw the crash, I tweeted. When I saw the reports of what the injuries he sustained, I tweeted, "Yo, just shut down the season, mate. Just shut it down."
I was thinking the same thing, but I'm like, it's a long season for him to shut it down.
Yeah, but do you know how painful 11 crack?
Yeah, that's put him on the bench for a little while, for sure.
It's gonna be out for a long time because there's no way you can ride one crack rib, maybe, but 11.
Yeah,
oh hell no! That's a collapsed lungs.
By Fabio's bike, DJ Antonio's bike.
Yeah, I mean that was a bit unfortunate to be honest, because he just went down in front of Digi. There's nothing Digi could have done to avoid him. So
he came off.
Again, it was
lucky boy.
It could have been a whole lot worse. Yep, so I think, personally, they should just shut it down for the season because, it's probably one of the worst defense to a title I've ever seen.
And I think if he's not, as you said, he needs to take the time to heal. And if it comes down to he has to do a Marc Marquez and just bin it for the rest of the season, and they need to take note from what happened to Marc and learn from that and be like, you know what? Let me shut it down. Well, let's see.
Because they could rush him back. And then again, something else happens and you're like, yo, you've had, 3 serious crashes since the start of the year. 3. 2 one in testing, once while training, and once you're back in racing. They said, bad thing comes in 3s or something like that?
Dude, just look good on him, right?
And just like, yo, you know what? Because I'm sure with them 11 crack ribs, he's gonna be out. He's gonna miss at least 4 races.
He's gonna be out for a while, and I think, and you could also argue that maybe the crash came from fatigue.
Was it fatigue? Because from the looks of it, he went on the curb. I mean, he's been on that curb so many, and the front just tucked on him.
Probably went a bit wide on the curve this time, and it could come down to fatigue, tiredness. He's not as sharp because remember he's going for a long, and it kind of brings back the topic of when they were trying to have him test before coming back into a full race. Right. So let's see if that really.
What they probably should have done before he come back in, put him on a superbike or something like that. Granted, it's not the same physicality as a MotoGP bike, but rather than put him on for him to go dirt biking, put him on a superbike or on a track, Mugello or something like that, and just go around and just run out some laps. Because I remember tweeting that there's no way he's going to score a point in that. This weekend.
Need to check on the rules
absolutely
on that,
no.
Even if it's a superbike, can you use a track that's on the calendar? Probably not. On any track.
Was Marquez testing at Misano on a Ducati superbike? I've seen him. Okay, even if it's not one of the GP circuits, somewhere, just to get that feeling back. And he even came out and said the bike doesn't feel like his bike. I'm like, dude, how would it feel like it's your bike? You've barely sat on it, and you're not riding a Ducati anymore. You're riding an Aprilia. So it's a different thing. So I think they should just shut down his season right now and just say, you know what, get yourself back 100% healthy.
Yeah.
And if you are fully healthy by the end of the season, okay, you probably do the last race or the last two races of
Go
the
straight
season,
into testing.
just so you have some sort of feel for the bike, and then you can do the end of season tests, and then come back fresh for next year, because you're not going to win a championship. You're not going to defend that championship. That championship is gone. Even if he didn't have any cry, even if he had started the season, that championship was gone. He was never going to defend that, because that Aprilia, there's nothing beating them Ducatis. So get that out your head.
So that's Martin. Wish him a speedy. Well, wish him a safe recovery, not a speedy, because you never want to rush that. I wish him well. Hope to see him back on the grid, fully fit at some point this year. But don't rush it, man.
Yep.
We already saw that rushing could do. It almost cost us a legend to retire early, Marc Marquez. So all these riders, all the riders need to take note from what happened to Marc. Rushing back too early, it could have dire consequences. So take note. Yeah, main race. Race starts. Alex and Marc clashes. Then Morbidelli takes.
Brotherly love.
So I'm looking at that. I'm like, oh my god. With the way it was riding, I'm like, don't tell me that he's got that much damage. Whereas like, he's really not going to be able to show his pace. But it turned out.
But it wasn't just part of the rear, the wing on the rear of the bike that got ripped off.
Yeah, but ultimately it's there for a reason, right? We don't know how it affects rear grip and all this stuff, right? So you never know. So that's what I was thinking. But in the end, Marc said it was his issue. He kind of lost it and he had to close the throttle. And then his brother ran into the back. Morbidelli took the lead. Canted off down the road.
And he looked good. And he looked good in the lead as well.
Canted off. And if you listen to the interview, the post-race interview, Marc was basically saying, yeah, I just let him go because I know he was using all his tires. Right? The thing that I'm looking at, right? I had to kind of write this down in notes to actually process it, right? Marc was very clever in his strategy in that race. Right?
In what sense?
The way he ran it, because he ran it, he said he knew Morbidelli was going to burn his tires and he was just running his own race, right, to make sure that at the end he's got the tires to actually bolt, right? And as you saw that I put it in the notes, if Marc Marquez has now become a thinking rider, right? Because we could argue that Marquez coming in, winning on his debut in MotoGP, his first championship in MotoGP, and as a rookie, right? And then he lost 2015. I'm looking at it now like Marquez probably won all those championships just on this raw talent, right? Like super, just super raw talent. Whereas like, now when I'm thinking he's older, still fast, and now he's on a motorcycle that allows him to be smooth, like say for instance a Lorenzo, right? And then now he's thinking like a Dovizioso, so that's dangerous.
Yeah, because again, you have because the bike is so good, and he knows he has the pace on the bike that allows him that sort of freedom to not just go gun-ho from the lights out. You know what I mean? He can run. And he's done it in pretty much all of the races. He's run a steady pace for maybe the first 3/4 of the race. And then when it's coming down to the final parts of the race now, that's when you see him just kind of like, okay, let's just up the pace now and just run it to the end. So I think whilst he has matured as a rider, the bike has also allowed him.
That's what I'm saying. Maturity. So now he think about his raw talent, speed. The bike allows him to be like a Lorenzo, smooth, doesn't have to be all right. And then it's allowing him now to think about his race like, oh, a Dovizioso would think about his races, right? That's a lethal combination, right? Whereas like now, it's like what you said, he's sending these messages because the thing as well is that when he's bolting at the end of races, he's setting fastest laps of races and like it's crazy.
Because that lap he did to set the lap record, I did it all, and I made a note of what lap it was. Hold on, let me find it. He set on lap. Oh God, what's that? How many laps were in the race?
It was 20.
24.
Like
so on lap 20, he did a 52.561. 52, and you look at his lap times. I mean, only he went into the 53s 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times he went into the 53s. Everything he was doing was mid to high 52s. Consistent lap after lap after lap after lap. When I saw him did that, when he finally got past
Maverick.
Alex. No, not Alex. Maverick. Yeah. And I see him do that 52. I went like, shit. Yeah, we might as well just put his name on the trophy right now because, yeah, no one's going to beat him. And this is where when I said earlier, this was a big statement race because going into this race, people were saying Qatar is a Peco track. And this is where they expect Peco to come back and strike and start, regain, bridge the gap to him and Marc and start getting closer and closer. But Marc literally showed him that there's no such track as a Peco track. I'll go anywhere, anytime, any hour, and I'll whoop his ass. And that's literally what he did right there. I mean, I saw that they showed the numbers. He's been on every single pole so far this year, sprint and main race. And his results is P1, 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 crash, P1, P1. That's madness. And you're like, Peco has no answer for that. None whatsoever. And I think it's somewhat demoralizing for him as well. Because he's looking at it like, yo, I've been here.
The thing
all
this
along.
Is why it's like when I say we just, as people, we just gotta drown out the noise, even as fans, right? Because when people were saying that it's a Qatar is a Peco track, I did not see it. Because when I looked at his numbers, I'm like, I wouldn't say this is a Peco track. Because this is Peco at Qatar, right? Since say, I'm not even going to go back as Moto 3. Let's go from his Moto 2 days, right? 12, first, retired, 7, third, retired, first. That doesn't sound like a Peco track to me.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at the results, when he's not retired, if he's not retiring, he's either on the podium or he's winning, right?
And then, yeah, you're right. But when I look at it, when I call something a Peco track, it's like when you say a Marc track, a
Saxon ring,
a Quarter. Yeah, that's when you're saying someone owns a track. That's the type of results I'm looking for. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't buy into that. I'm like, and
it's Marc Marquez you're going up against, mate. So that Marc, I think Marc, because he made some statements after.
Hold on, just to hold it, right? So this is why I didn't buy into it, right? Because I had to go, because I had these and I just didn't get time to write them down. So let's go back the same time from Marc. Moto 2 days, right? Qatar. Retired, first, third, first, fifth, third, fourth, second, retired, did not start, fifth, fourth. And then this year won. That sounds like a Marquez track to me.
No, not really, because I mean the numbers pretty much sound similar to Peco, to be honest. But because Pecco has more wins there, doesn't he?
No, Marquez won Qatar 2012, 2014, and this is going back from Moto2, right? And he won it this year, so 3 times.
Yeah, but how many times has Pecco
Pecco's
won?
won Qatar. I just pulled it up just now. And Pecco's won Qatar. Where we at? We're at MotoGP. Moto2, we said, right? So he's won Qatar 2018, 2023, and 2024. So 3 apiece.
So they have the same amount.
But when you do the combat, Marc overall result is better, right?
Yeah, because Marc's been in MotoGP, been at it longer than him.
I'm
so
counting like Moto2 as well, right? So, but if you look at
that would still give Marc the advantage.
Like a 50-50 split than to say it's a Pecco track. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a Pecco track per se, right? So, which is why.
But in some ways, he has always gone well, and I think that's probably why they've said it was sort of his track. But they probably who said it probably weren't paying attention to what Marquez has done.
They got recency bias, whereas like they're looking at when he lost out to Dovey all those races in Qatar, not realizing he was still second. And the only reason why he lost those races was because of what? Dovey and a Ducati, right? So that was the issue. So when they said, I'm like, okay, let's see. And it played out. So the thing is right now, as you said, he made a statement, and it's a big statement, right?
Yep.
And we know it's early days.
Early days, you mean end of days? It's not early days, I mean, it's end of days right now. What are you talking about early days?
Because this is, from everything from the weekend, this is the thing that got me the most, right? I'm not sure if you paid attention to this. Pecco got 25 points in quota, right?
Yep. And gave them back.
Because he came in behind Marc, 11 points?
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Maverick's disqualification, it would be 30 points again.
Yeah. So he gave it right back.
And this is so now you're looking at, you got a man that crashed out of a whole race. You haven't crashed yet, Pecco. You finished all the races. And Marc already has a DNF and still has a race win, a full race win on top of you.
Which is what I said to you. It's end of days. It's season over for Pecco. He's not going to win the championship because he's not going to beat Marc on pace.
Unless Marc does a quota several times this season.
That's what I'm saying. The only way Marc loses his championship is if he decides to do some dumb shit and just crash, like he was on the Honda. That's the only way Pecco has a chance. And even then, Pecco still doesn't have a full chance because Alex is right there. Alex is right there.
You said that.
So it's not just one Marquez he has to deal with. He's dealing with 2. And I mentioned it on my Twitter timeline that he has to deal with Alex
and
now.
You have to remember,
not just Marc.
DG is coming. He's coming up to speed.
Yeah,
right?
I don't think Digi will, because Digi has always gone well around Qatar because he's won in Qatar.
I'm saying to you, right? Where I'm looking at all the Ducatis that's coming, right? The thing that Pecco's got to be careful of, right, is if he gets one of those bad weekends, all of a sudden Digi slots in front of him. One-off weekend, because you got to remember,
but you're talking about one-off weekend. But in general, the top 3 riders right now, and I think that will probably be the same 3 to the end of the season, is the top 3 we have right now.
But you still have to look at certain anomalies that could play out, right? Because who would have thought Maverick could have slotted his even though he got disqualified, slotted his KTM between. You understand what I'm saying? So the problem that Pecco faces is if he gets his off weekends every now and then all of a sudden it's not only Alex and Marc, a KTM slots in there, or Johann Zarco on the
Zarco or a
so all of a sudden you
Morbidelli.
find yourself 50, 60 points adrift, just like that.
Yeah, but really, but does that really make any difference? Because he's going to find himself 50, 60 points even if he finishes second anyway. Because at the pace Mark is going, you can't see where Mark is going to lose a race. Because here's the thing. Pecco builds into a weekend.
Mark,
right? Mark starts like he's ending the weekend.
It's crazy.
So Mark doesn't go on the track and like, oh, let me build up, slowly get in. He's attacking it from lap 1. He's going, he's there. Because I think what it is, he has found a baseline setting with that Ducati that he likes. So all he has to do is just small fine tune. He doesn't need to make any massive changes. He just needs to fine tune a bit here and there based on the track and the tires. Just as long as he can get the tires, if he can get the tires to work and last without degrading as much, you're not going to beat him. Because he just has that raw speed straight out the gate. And that's the thing. So Pecco can't do what he used to do with
Martín and
Martín, where he builds into a weekend, where he'll have a bad Friday, goes home, goes Friday night, looks at the data, then fix up Saturday, he's back in the game again. No, Mark is there from practice 1, practice 2, practice 3, qualify. He's not letting you, once Mark puts his foot on your neck, he's not taking it off.
And the crazy thing about that, right? I think we're now seeing what Cal used to say on the Honda. I think it's showing up at Ducati as well. Whereas,
what?
Because remember, Martin used to say a lot of those Sunday races, a lot of those races, Pecco used to use his data.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're realizing that, I could show it to you. It's like what Cal used to say, I see it every day. But using it,
but you can't mimic it.
It's a whole different type of game. And no one seems to be able to use Mark's settings or what he does. And that's going to be an issue for Pecco.
It's like the Lewis and Jenson Button thing, going back to Formula 1 quickly. Jenson Button used to say, I could see Lewis' data and the things he's doing. I was like, I can't do that.
Yeah, so...
And that's literally what we're seeing with Pecco. So, again, Pecco has, you were talking about the gas tank earlier. That's the least of his worries right now. His biggest worry right now is Mark. And realizing that Mark is and there's a reason why Mark is called an alien. And he's witnessing that firsthand. And I'm telling you, no one can tell me Pecco isn't doing his damnedest best.
Yes, he's trying.
But he's realizing, my best is just not good enough to beat this guy. How am I going to beat him?
Because look at this, right? Can you imagine if the mishap in Qatar, if Mark didn't F up in Qatar, 50 points they're not even in Europe, and you got 50 points dunked on you?
After what, 4 races? Is it 4 or 5?
4 races.
4 races. Yeah, that's not a good look at all. That's terrible. That's not
you want
a
to
good
put
look
it. You
at
could put
all.
it as 2 full race wins, or you could put it as a race win and 2 sprints and some, or 2 sprints and probably a 6th place.
Yeah, right now Pecco. I think Pecco's fight is with Alex. It's not with Mark. No, serious. His fight is with Alex. It's not with Mark. Because that's a mismatch of every kind. That's like me fighting Mike Tyson in his prime. I'm not going to survive that fight. Because Mike Tyson was, from the first bell, he wants to knock your head off. He's not in there to be going 2, 3, 4 rounds. Mike Tyson wants to finish the fight in 5 seconds. And that's literally what Mark is doing.
Yeah, so so I'm gonna move on from Mark, and great win by him. As I said, business resumed at Qatar. But before I moved on from him, let me ask you this. Based on what we said about the bike that he's on, the way he's thinking now, and the smoothness that the motorcycle allows him, Are we seeing a rider that we thought peaked, and we're probably just seeing him with a good motorcycle where he could really be prime?
Again, what in sports, someone's prime years is around in the 30s. Late to mid 30s. Mark is what, 30 what? 132? Something 32, like that. Yeah. So he's somewhat coming into his prime years.
Which is scary.
No. Yeah.
Which is scary.
Because you look at his overall record, he has 91 victories from 153 podiums. MotoGP has 65 victories, 114 podiums, 70 poles from 193 races. Yeah, look, Mark is still relatively in the prime of his career right now. I'll tell you how old he is.
32.
He was born 93.
So he's 32.
So he's what? 32. He's
Just
still in the
32
prime
in
of
February.
His career. Yeah. So he's still in the prime of his career right now. So again, look, you know me, I'm a Fabio guy, so I really don't have any horse in this race. But I feel bad for Pecco, straight up, because Ducati was his team. It's no longer his team. Mark came into Ducati and basically snatched his chain from him and said, what are you going to do about it? There's literally nothing he can do because he's not going to beat Mark. End of story. Championship over after 4 races.
Man,
it's done.
That's bold.
No, but it's done.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Barring Mark crashing injured.
The only look, I literally tweeted it on Sunday. The only way Mark loses this championship is unless he crashes. If he stays on that bike, Pecco is not beating him. We see it's done.
Gotta. If you put things into perspective, right? Martin gave him a warm time, and
yeah, but Martin is not.
That's what I'm saying to you. So you kind of see where you say it's a mismatch, right? Because
none of these guys are Mark.
The problem is, and this is where we got to put it into perspective now to see the situation Pecco is in, right? Remember, Martin would win on a Saturday, and Pecco would come back on a Sunday, right?
Sunday.
Just happened that he crashed too many times, and Martin. So now he's in a situation where Mark is winning on a Sunday.
And he's winning on a Saturday. Mark's not winning on a Sunday. Mark's winning from FP from practice 1.
So
from practice 1.
So yeah, for Pecco to win this championship, he has to perform from the weekend starts, as you say. He has to perform in the sprints, and he has to perform on a Sunday. This is not the Martin days when you could Martin could have the sprint, and then I know Martin is probably going to be top 3, top 4. Nah, this ain't that type of party.
But it's the exact same thing I said to you a couple of episodes ago. That look, Mark is not the type of rider you want to give an inch to. Okay, you give him a inch, he's taking 100 miles, right? And if he has a good bike at that, it makes it even your tasks that much harder. So you can't afford to be starting have sluggish starts because Mark don't have sluggish starts.
A man gave you 25 and just took it back the following week.
Because what's the gap? Hold on, let me see what the gap. Is it 25?
Without Maverick disqualification, it would have been 30. But you could check it, fact check it.
Hold on, let me the standings. Let me check the standings. Hold on. I'll check the standings and let me tell you.
123 to
Mark's
97.
123 to 96. 26. And it was only what? And what was it? Prior
was 11 going
into the weekend.
Yep.
See, and that misqualified, that crash in qualifying pretty much messed up his sprint because he finished 7th in the sprint or something like that. So yeah, we can I think bookmark this. I said it. The championship is over, dude. This is just like Marc's on a victory lap right now for the remainder of the season.
It's crazy.
Straight up.
So, all right, then that's a great weekend for Marc. He came out swinging bit after his quota mishap. So kudos to the guy, man. Got to give it to him.
Laid down a mark and said that you talk about Pecco track. Man, it's like I'm gonna use a basketball quote. Kevin Durant. Somebody asks. He was giving an interview and they asked him a question, and I can't remember what the question was. And he looked at the reporter and was like, "I'm Kevin Durant. You know that, right? I'm Kevin Durant." Marc Marquez is looking at everybody and like, "I'm Marc Marquez. You know that, right?" End of story. He's on a victory lap right now for the remain. What is it? How many races in the calendar? 24, I think it is.
It's more than remember sprints. So every weekend is a sprint.
No. Yeah, no, not races. I mean, how many
races remaining?
So, okay, how many is this? So that's 5, 10, 15, 20, 22 races. And we've already got 4. So Marc is on an 18 race
victory lap
tour. 18 race victory lap.
The saving grace for Peco, where you probably could, is if...
What's saving grace?
Hold on. If... I'm trying to make a podcast of it, right? So, they've got a test coming up. If he doesn't find anything in this upcoming test,
you know what he's going to need to find in that upcoming test?
310.
A 2-second lap pace advantage over Marc. That's it. That's what he's going to need to find in that upcoming test because, yeah, that's not going to happen, man.
All right. So let's move on from that. So let me ask this, right? So there was a situation, there's a point in the race, Peco versus Franco Morbidelli, right? Stablemates at VR46. So I was listening to the post-race. I
thought Pecco left the VR46 camp?
No, he's still VR46.
Oh, okay.
I think, who was it that left? Someone left. I think, was it
Bastianini left.
He was never part of it.
It wasn't. So who left?
Is Bolega still part of it? Or they booted him after they didn't perform as they expected? But yeah, Pecco is still part of it.
Yeah, but Bolega wasn't in MotoGP.
No, he was on the GP grid though. It was Moto 2 and Moto 3 too. So, so the little ding dong between Pecco and Franco Morbidelli, right? As stablemates. There's a lot of, you look across the MotoGP Twitter sphere and even on MotoGP.com itself, some of the commentary, they were like, why would you do that with Pecco? And my question is,
do what?
When he so I'm like, why? Why should he not race him? Because you do realize that this is a sport. People pay to see this sport. And Franco Morbidelli also has a duty to his team, right?
Franco doesn't ride for Ducati, so why is it even a conversation?
Right. You mean in terms of like the official factory Ducati? Because he's not a Ducati.
Yeah, he doesn't ride for Franco. Franco is a VR46 rider.
So
he doesn't ride for Ducati, so why should he? And even if he rode for Ducati, why shouldn't he race him?
It's not about like
Marc races Pecco. Pecco races Marc. I don't get the argument. So are they trying to say Frankie should have just let him pass and just
sense.
like
because the problem with that is, right, if that was the Marquez brothers, you near the end of it. If Alex just pulled over and let Marc through, or vice versa, right? Oh, you're cheating and this and that. So I'm like, no, Frankie should race. Frankie's got a team that needs to get paid too. I'm sure there's bonuses on the table for Frankie as well. So I'm listening. I'm like, guys, why would you not want him to race? Ultimately, if Pecco is coming through the field and he thinks he's faster, it's his job to get past him.
Honestly, I don't even know why this is even a discussion.
Yeah, but it's out there. Oh, Frank, I'm like, come on, guys, y'all are crazy.
Yeah, it's out there from people who just don't have any sense.
But these are people that actually, one of them was actually one of the commentators in MotoGP.com.
Well, again, not because you're not because a lot of these people, not because not because they're around the sport and whatnot, don't mean they have any sense, because that's just stupidity.
Yeah, that's crazy.
There's no way you can look at two competitors and say, oh, you shouldn't have raced them because you're from the same. Sorry, what?
That don't make no sense. So yeah, racing.
If that's the case, you might as well just say, go
we're
home.
racing fans. We want to see racing. We want to see.
You don't pick and choose who you race.
We want to see Ducati and Ducati. We want to see racing. I don't care if you're under the same management team. This is racing. If the guy behind is faster, it's his job to get past. And if the guy who's getting past feels like, yo, I need to fight back, it's his job to fight back until the guy behind figures it out and get past him and get up the road. That's that. So,
what did they ever say? When it's my boys, when Bastianini raced him again in Mugello, because Bastianini won Mugello last year, didn't he?
Did he?
Yeah. Yeah, man. He won Mugello when they rode on the special livery bike, the blue and white one, where he passed Pecco in the last couple of laps, man. Bastianini won Mugello last year, man. I'm sure he chased down what's his name? Chased down I think it was Martín. But I'll find it. But anyway, look. At the end of the day, the competitors, they're on the grid to race each other. Let them race. Shut up. Stop being idiots and talking about why is he racing it? No.
Yeah, it's
Pecco.
Yeah, it's racing. Let them race.
He won it.
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
it's
in the story, I don't like I said. I don't even know why we even talked about that, because that's just a waste of time. That's just an absolute waste of time. And whoever the commentator is who said that.
Chased down Martín and took second place off Martín, but Pecco won Mugello last year.
Yeah. Okay,
so so let them race. So, we're here to see racing. As racing fans, we pay, we book flights and all this stuff. Whatever we do, watch it, pay for cable, whatever. We're here to see racing. Going on to your farmer guy. What a ride from Maverick Vinales.
Jesus.
Subsequently, he got
we're gonna keep this one very short, very, very short. I don't even want to spend a minute on it. This is Maverick once a year appearance. What we saw from him over the weekend, we're not gonna see for the rest of the year. That's it. Let's move on, because we see this from Maverick every year. He did it in Qatar last year, then disappear for the rest of the year. He's done it now. He's gonna disappear again for the rest of the year. It's Maverick. Maverick has to be one of the most disappointing riders in MotoGP.
Most inconsistent talent I've ever seen.
No. Not inconsistent. Disappointing. Because when Maverick was on that Yamaha, was it the Yamaha? Yeah. I thought Maverick was the next coming.
Should have won championship.
And that boy is just, yeah.
Fabio came in the stable and got a chip.
Yeah, Maverick right now. I mean, the only thing, that's all I have to say about it. Cool. We just witnessed Maverick once a year appearance. He's like what do you call him? It's like Santa Claus. You only see him once a year.
All right, then
that's it. Drops off a gift and then you don't see him again for another 365.
All right, so
that's it.
Let's discuss what subsequently happened after the race or once the race finished. Maverick Vinales was investigated for a tire pressure infringement, and he ended up getting not disqualified. He got a time penalty. Dropped him to what, 12th?
No.
Drop him to?
I think he dropped to 14th or something like that.
Right, so
he got 16 seconds.
Maverick Vinales, where did he end up in the end?
14. So he finished
dropped to 14.
Where did
no, that's not it. That's USA. He dropped to Qatar. So where we at?
Hold on. I'll tell you. Yeah, he finished 14th.
It's the 14th. Right?
Okay.
So let's discuss this tire pressure thing, right? What are your views on tire pressure? On this whole...
I think it's a stupid rule. It kind of like limits the racing. We've seen what Marc had to do in was it Thailand, where he had to give up the lead because it was going above the minimum, because you have to ride. It has to be a minimum pressure for a certain
Percent of
amount
the race, I think it is.
of the race. My question is, how did Maverick not see that?
He said he didn't look on his dash, which sounds crazy to me.
There would have been a red flashing light on his dash telling him something.
Or unless when he went wide, he thought probably could have latched on to the back of Mark.
But that wouldn't have
he wouldn't have qualified for 60% of the race.
Yeah, he wouldn't have qualified for the 60% anyway. So in that regard, I don't understand how he didn't realize what was going on and done something about it. But as for the rule in general, I just find it a bit, I don't know, it somewhat ruins the race.
The essence of racing, right? Because
you're more focusing on, your focus is on that. Oh my God, am I below it? And
not only that,
I don't like it.
From what I'm understanding about it is, where you qualify, right? Then you set your tire pressure accordingly, right? So the fact that they set Maverick's tire pressure based on where he was on the grid, at no point did KTM thought Maverick was going to lead that race. And then that's my issue now. So now you're telling me that if I'm a guy that qualifies if one of these riders qualifies a certain way or a certain place on the grid, right? And then all of a sudden gets a good start. Oh, leading the race because the gap opened up and you just fired through that. Now you find yourself leading the race, tire pressure issue kicks in. Now you're gonna have to drop those positions to maintain that. It ruins racing. However, it is my understanding that the teams doesn't allow time to test the tire for Michelin to bring forward a new tire, right?
Is it the teams that aren't allowed to, or is it the sport doesn't allow them to do it?
I think because remember they tested a tire last year in, which one of the test was it? Was it the Misano test where Peco tested it, and rumors that they liked it and they've never seen the tire ever since? Because the teams aren't testing the tire. From what Michelin is saying, the teams aren't testing the tire, right? So on the flip side of that is Michelin. So it looks like the bikes have developed away from what the initial tire, right? With all the aerodynamics, low ride height. There's a lot of force going through these tires now, right? So they didn't, so with that being said, the bikes have exceeded the tire is what we're seeing. So now you got to run a certain tire pressure for it to stay within a certain window, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now they decided to put this rule in for safety, because the last thing anyone wants is for the teams, to run these tire pressure lower than Michelin thinks is safe, and you have a tire blowout at 200 plus miles per hour. So it's, for me, I don't like the rule, but I understand why the rule is in place. Because we could say, we want racing, but the moment someone have a blowout and then it's serious injuries or life, then we're like, we should have, you know what I'm saying? So, but they have to, Michelin is on their way out, so I don't think that's going to happen. But whenever Pirelli comes in, right, and for going forward, they have to find time to test tires and to sit at the table to make sure that they do the right thing or to push the sport forward, because for new fans, it's confusing to them what's going on. So I just watched this race, and then I'll look back on social media. The guy that I was rooting for is no longer on the podium. It's not a good look. Also, the last thing, when I went to Qatar, when Marc crashed, I'm like, man, But I could live with that because it's an accident, right? He crashed. It is what it is. But the worst thing you want is to spend money on hotel, rental, all this stuff, and then you go watch and then your guy gets disqualified for something stupid. So for me, they have to figure out how to fix this because it's just not a good look for the sport. I'm a big fan of the sport. So it's conflicted because I understand why the rule is there. Doesn't mean that I like the rule.
Yeah, but what they need to do is they just need to designate that, okay, they have a mandatory tire test at some 1 or 2 tire tests at some point in the season where they're testing tires. They give them the tires just like they do in Formula One, but you don't know what tires you're testing.
The problem is a cost involved. Who's going to pay?
Well, again, Michelin.
You know, it's a tricky one, man. It's not as straightforward.
Here's another solution then. Do it during the race weekends. Same as Formula One. Formula One, what they do is if Pirelli wants to test tires on current cars, they bring the tires and they give them and say, okay, you have 30 minutes. You have to test these tires for us, but we're not going to tell you what tires they are, but you're just going to test them.
Sounds good, right?
Yeah.
Formula One does it,
but
I'm not sure because whilst both of them are prototype racing, MotoGP, I don't think it has the clout as F1 and it doesn't have the money as F1, right? And then because one of the things when the remember what happened in Qatar with Marc running off the grid? One of the big issues that I heard a lot of pundits talking about was, the time allocated, the TV time. So I'm like, are you telling me that y'all contracts have this narrow window when it comes down to MotoGP, motorbike racing, when Formula One got a whole 2 window that they have? Right? So a lot of things in MotoGP, which is why I'm waiting to see what the whole Liberty Media, I think I saw some news that is progressing forward. Slowly.
Yeah, but you have to be careful, this is how Formula One is run in terms of the window in which the race operates in. Had nothing to do with Liberty Media.
No, maybe.
That's more with the governing body of the sport.
All right, cool.
So FIM, I think MotoGP falls under FIM. FIM. So FIM, that's their doing. They have to do. But
So,
I think,
hold on. So the reason,
but I don't think it's MotoGP. I think it's the whole entire race weekend has to run within a set window for MotoGP.
yeah, 'cause that's what I was going to say. Maybe because MotoGP runs three races. Maybe that's the difference. But I wasn't saying that.
But then Formula One run 3 races as well sometimes.
Yeah, because so that's my I kind of waffled a bit, but what I was trying to say is that I don't see MotoGP fitting in no tire test on a weekend. That's basically what I was trying to say. I don't know why I went so long.
But I don't see why but they can do it. They can do it. All they have to do is, okay, you extend one of the sessions by half an hour. Because again, they don't have that problem with Moto 2 and Moto 3.
No, they don't.
And if I'm not mistaken, is it Michelin does the tires for that as well, or is it Pirelli? Pirelli.
So,
okay. And Pirelli. So again, if they want it done, they can find a way to get it done.
But my thing is that if the teams are the ones that are getting penalized and disqualified and losing podiums, that's the thing that's confusing to me. How are they not motivated to test the tires? That's the confusing part to me. You see what I'm saying? That's the part that's confusing to me. Like, if you know you're at the risk of losing a race, because think about this. How much points did Martín win the championship by last year?
I think it was 10 or something like that.
Small margin, right? So like a sprint race win, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine if he had a tire pressure infringement? You see where I'm going with this, right?
Again.
You see where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah.
So it's cost it hasn't cost a race win yet. It's cost podiums already, right? It's only a matter of time before it's going to cost a race win. I don't think Michelin is going to be around long enough for it to cost a championship.
Well, they're out this year. They're out at the end of this year, right?
Yeah. So it's one of them ones where it's like, man, it could turn some results. Someone could lose a race win, right? Even now, with the only thing is that we've already seen the clever chap Marc how he operates. He picked it up in Thailand, and so I was gonna say it could cost him a win, but I think he's more hip to that type of thing now. Whereas, like, okay, I know what I'm gonna do if I get a tire pressure.
Well, I think all of them are hip to it. It's just that why did Maverick not react?
You know, Marc had this issue last year as well, right? Where was it? Was it Assen? Where did they have the issue, the tire pressure issue last year? So he had one of those issues last year. So it's not the first time.
Yeah, I get that. But what I'm saying is, the failure here was Maverick, not the rule. Because you know the rule going into the race. So Maverick, surely his dashboard would have thrown up some warning to say, yo, this is the situation you're in. And it was for him to react. The fact that he didn't react, it was more his fault than actually blaming the rule, to be honest.
Yeah, you could look at it that way, right? That's why I'm saying I'm conflicted when it comes down to the rule. Because I could see where Michelin is coming from.
Yeah.
Right? And I could see where the teams are coming from. But my whole thing is that teams, you're the one who are going to lose out. Michelin ain't losing nothing. Michelin is actually protecting themselves from having a tire blowout and killing a rider or injuring someone, right? So they're protecting themselves.
Yep.
And you're at the liberty of losing a race win, losing a championship, losing a podium. So I don't understand why manufacturers, why they're not motivated, the teams, to do the tire test. It's I don't know. Let's see. I'm sure it's going to rear its ugly head again.
Well,
and then gonna have to come
then put it this way then. Then it's for the governing body to step in and say, look, you guys have to do this test. Simple as that.
Yes.
Why does the governing body not mandate that you have to do the test?
Yep. Yeah, I guess sometimes you need to appear.
Simple as that.
Be like, hey man, that's not you. You have to do this. So let's see how that works. And we kind of went along on the tire pressure because it's a big thing. So we kind of, I wouldn't say we went long. It was a discussion that needed to be had, right? Because it's a serious issue, right? It's a very serious issue. So we already discussed Marc extended his lead. So we already discussed that one. So Alex Marquez, right? You mentioned him earlier. And people who listen to this podcast from like, he's on Alex Marquez again, but there's a reason. You remember we were saying like, maybe, well, not I. People are saying, well, it's just that he's got a bike that's fully developed, the GP24. And I've always been saying since we started the podcast, and even before that, I think he's made a step as a rider too, right? I don't think it's just a motorcycle. And
yeah, well, again, when you have a better bike, it breeds confidence. His quality as a rider was never really in question. The issue was he didn't have a good enough bike.
Probably for you and I. A lot of people question him, right?
Yeah, but again, you ask the question, the people who are questioning him, you pretty much kind of like have to wonder, what are they actually watching?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because again, the question, it was never about his talent as a rider. It was more about, does he have the bike?
Yeah, and a lot of time, because he's Marc's brother, they think he's going to be at the same talent level, which is crazy. But anyway, the reason why I brought him up, after running into back of Marc, the stupid mistake with Fabio Digia and Antonio, right? Who win this race. But Alex still left the chasing pack on a Ducati with half the wings and all that stuff missing, and he was still doing 52s, right?
I mean, again, I think How much? I mean, it won't have affect the perform. I think where if you lose those sort of things where it affects the performance, if anything, is more when it comes to braking. I think that's when it more affects it. But in terms of rideability, it probably still should be the same. So
now I think if the front, because he lost them all of the front, man, I think that's going to affect change of direction and all that stuff, right? That's going to. He said there was a certain part of the track where he was super fast without it, right? Which is why I think he said it was the final corner. He said he was just passing people left, right, and center, right? But what I'm looking at is the fact that he was still doing 52s and the chasing pack were on fully functioning bikes. He just left them for dead, right? Finished up a lonely or 5th or 6th, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I'm looking at that like that's actually a good result based on what happened to him in the race. He had a long lap penalty, like, right? It was chaotic. And for him to come home, right, in the race where he did, which was Alex Marquez 6th, right?
Yeah.
That was a good recovery ride from him, right? And he said he's on a better bike, so he's crashing less. So you're right to what you said initially. Peco has got a problem in him too.
I'm telling you. It's gonna be a long ass season for Peco.
Right.
A long ass season.
Right, because everyone was like, "Oh, but let's see." Because now we're going to Europe. When we get to Europe, like Alex Marquez doesn't ride the European tracks too, like.
Yeah, I don't that side of the argument I don't buy into about once we get to Europe, the tracks his ex-rider is more familiar with, etc. It's like they've all ridden those tracks at some point in the career, be it in MotoGP or in the lower categories. They've ridden these tracks, so I don't know.
So let me throw something out here, right?
Purpose that serves.
I'm gonna throw this crazy theory out here. Based on what Alex is doing, and as I said, I'm screaming from the top of the hill. I think he's here to stay for the season.
Why wouldn't he be for the season? He's gonna stay. What do you mean in terms of like in the championship fight?
Yeah, like he's gonna be there, right?
Okay.
And if he's giving Peco a warm time, the only thing I see changing that is if Ducati decide not to give Alex upgrades to save face. But at the same time,
true,
his brother is winning y'all the chips.
And also it depends on what's in the contract.
Yeah, right. So it's going to be a tricky.
But he's not on a GP. He's not on a GP 25 or 24.9.
He's on a 24.
He's on a GP. Yeah. So what upgrades would they give him though?
You still got to ask yourself the question. Remember, there's different iterations as a GP 24. So
yeah, but but I'm assuming I'd assume he started the season on the actual spec that won the championship.
Why would you assume that when last year his brother didn't get that?
True.
You know what I'm saying? His brother didn't have that.
True.
And which is why this is why what I was saying to you, like, yo, they're seeing some stuff because Mark was not on the championship within GP23 at no point. And he's on a red bike. But so Alex, that was a good recovery ride based on the disaster he was having initially at the early stages of the race. Right? And my little young rookie Furman, he picked up from Kota. He been in Kota from I think 5th. But guess what? He picked up, the speed is there. He continued into Qatar with that speed. He finished up at in 5th.
Yeah.
Finished up in 5th.
I mean, again, I don't really know what to say about Furman per se, because I don't really it's not someone that I've really kept a close eye on. So I'm not really sure how I gauge his whole situation right now. But again, he's what? He just turned 20.
He's super young.
Recently?
Furman is super young.
Yeah. So there you go. Who's he? Which is in
It's
Alex's teammate, isn't he? Yeah. So I mean, the more time he spends on that bike, obviously the better he's going to get. So, like I said, I don't really keep track of him that much. So I don't really know how well he's performing, but that's your guy. So,
because the reason why I said that, so just to give you a backdrop on him, right? He was one of them guys that was doing. Remember, I always say to you, I look out for the guys who does well on the non-calyx type of chassis, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was one of them guys.
Yeah,
he came in and did well on the Bosca speed up, right? And so he had, I think the back end of, so he had a disaster last year, which is how Ducati signed him. It was his performance on the back end of the year before that, which was a 23. The back end of 23, that's where they picked him because he was performing like he was just hotting up the place, right? So Ducati signed him based on that performance. Last year, it kind of didn't go according to plan. That people started to question, oh, it's a bad signing. And I'm like, no, it's not a bad signing, right? I could see him getting signed that early, and then his mind is probably already on MotoGP, right? You could see that he's young. Like, man, he's excited to get to MotoGP, and he just fluffed his lines in last year, right? But he's got the talent. Viñales, he's a talented kid. He has the talent, so I'm going to keep a close eye on him. He's actually on my fantasy team, actually. Right, he's on my fantasy, so it's a close eye on him. He was showing speed in Qatar. He been it from 5th, I think, and he followed up here in Qatar with a 5th place. So at least he followed through. It wasn't like a flash in the pan type of thing, right? And so that's it. On Furman, the one person that I want to mention, right, which I'm paying close attention to, right?
I think you said Zarco.
Yeah. So this might sound crazy because of his age, but I think Zarco should be in the official HRC team, in the official Honda team.
Because he was running, wasn't he running in the top 10? He was in the top 10 comfortably.
Zarco?
During the race.
Zarco finished 4th.
There you go. I mean, that's his best result so far this season.
He finished 4th. The next best Honda man was Luca Marini in 10th. Right?
The one that you said shouldn't be in the factory team. But isn't Zarco also running a factory bike, but just in different colors?
He needs to get the perks of the factory. We know there's some other perks that comes with you being in the official factory team, official Ducati team, official Honda team, official Yamaha. He never rode officially for HRC because I'm like, nah. He never rode for the official. He was never a Honda factory.
Oh yeah, he rode for LCR Honda in 2019.
LCR. Yeah, because I'm like, Zarco, I had to fact check because there's a lot that goes on in this series, so we don't claim to know everything off top. You still have to fact check a lot of things. But I think he's shown enough to get a factory.
Okay. Right? Yeah.
If it's even for a season.
I guess. But
because
but again, why would you want to leave a good thing and go into the Honda team? If he's getting results with the LCR Honda, which is basically the same as the one that Marini and who's it?
Just like what I said to you, there's perks of coming being official
factory,
right? That would be put on the CV. Like, I rode for the official. It's like paying him, bro. It's like paying him for his work. He's the one doing the business, so I think he should be. Johann Zarco's just stinking up the place, but we're gonna have to do a whole other pod on what's going on with Johann Zarco. He was sick over the weekend. Was it this week? Yeah, he
missed the race,
gastroenteritis or something like that.
He missed the sprint race, or did he miss the sprint race?
The sprint.
Yeah.
He rode in this one, and he's the one that this year ran off track. Right, so Johann Zarco, he's doing great for Honda. I think from what I'm hearing, the Honda is actually a sweet handling motorcycle. You're just down on top speed.
Top, and that's kind of strange when you consider that Honda historically has always had a power advantage. So for it to be down on top speed now, so they've sacrificed speed for handling, kind of like they've done what Yamaha has historically done, sacrifice top speed for handling.
This year, they've been down on top speed for a couple of seasons.
Yeah, because the bike was terrible.
They've been down on top speed, but I think KTM is the fastest top speed now on the grid. The KTM is a rocket ship. right? And yeah, so we gonna touch one more thing, then we could close this one off. Touch the rumors. So you remember when I said my feeling was that Pedro was gonna go VR46?
Mm-hmm.
That's still out there in the year. That's still out there.
Yeah, because
but now there's a bigger rumor that that Honda is looking to buy him out of his KTM contract. And that's not only that. And there's another rumor going as well that Toprak Honda is also looking to bring Toprak over to MotoGP because they had big wigs there in World Superbike this weekend. So
yeah, I've heard the rumors about Toprak to MotoGP, but these people need to calm down with Toprak to MotoGP because the hype that they have, they think him coming to MotoGP is going to be like, nah, these guys are different animals. The MotoGP bikes are nothing like.
They're trying to coincide it with the Pirelli switch because he's on Pirellis.
Yeah,
so
his experience on Pirelli in Superbike won't carry over into MotoGP.
It's going to be different.
It's a completely different. You're talking about MotoGP is a purpose-built race bike. Superbike is pretty much a derivative of a road-going bike.
Yeah, and the thing is for me, right? This is why I said I just look at motorsport from a different view to like a lot of people. Sometimes I think people are just writing stuff just to write it or just to drum up like the hype because that's just the era that we live in, right? Clicks and hype and, because I'm like, man, come on. Toprak is over there fighting with Bolega, bro. Chill. Like, come on. Yeah. Most of the guys that goes from MotoGP to Superbike, come on. Like, he's a talented rider for Superbike.
Yeah.
I'll give him that.
Carlos Checo won Superbike. Troy Bayliss won Superbike. But then when they went to MotoGP, they realized that even though Troy Bayliss has a MotoGP win, but they realized that that's a completely different kettle of fish to World Superbike.
Won Superbike.
Yeah.
Colin Edwards won Superbike.
I think Troy Bayliss is the only one that moved from Superbike to MotoGP and won a race.
Didn't Ben Spies win a race?
No.
Elbows didn't win a race?
Nope.
Is it?
Ben Spies didn't win any race in MotoGP.
Yeah, man. You sure?
Nope. Positive. Well, I could be wrong, but he had podium, but I don't think he ever won a race.
You sure?
Yeah,
Ben Spies?
Yeah.
Did he just have podiums? Let me see. MotoGP.
Hold on. Yeah, he did win a race.
Yeah, he did win a race. Because I'm like, what?
Okay, he won one race. Where did he win that race?
Not sure. So Ben Spies won a race, 6 podiums.
That's a bit odd.
I guess the point we're trying to make,
That's a bit odd because in 2013 he finished 21st in the championship with 9 points. So where did he win that race? So where did he win that MotoGP race?
Let me see where we at.
He had one win from 55 starts. So where was that win? Okay, 2010. No. I'll tell you where he won it. He won it in wins in 2011. He won. Yeah, so that would have been Assen.
Yeah. Assen. Yes, but I guess the point we're trying to make is that chill with the Toprak to MotoGP.
Yeah, it's not what I think it is. Because look at Bautista. Bautista is a 2-time Superbike champion. And when he was in MotoGP, granted, he had some good results in MotoGP. I think he had podiums and whatnot. And Bautista is a 125 world champion? Or is it 2? Yeah, I think Bautista is a 125 world champion.
It don't even matter. What we're trying to say over here in MotoGP, it's a whole different type of ball game. Right? So I get it. Toprak is talented for World Superbike. Jonathan Rea is talented for World Superbikes. Right? So y'all need to ask yourself, the guy that's actually challenging Toprak for the championship right now on the Ducati,
Bolega.
Go check his results in Moto2. So yeah, the Toprak thing, I don't buy into it. It's all hype. right? Even if he comes over here, he's probably going to get something handed to him and send him back.
Yeah, he's going to realize that, yeah.
And he could ask his manager. His manager knows.
Who's his manager? Keenan Safawoglu.
5-time World Super Sport champion. And when he came over to Moto2, he knows. He realized that, yeah, he did canter in one of the races, but he realized that, no, bro, you got to manage your tires over here. You really got to know the race over here.
Yeah, he's not. Right. Yeah, Toprak isn't. Was like you said, Superbike talent and MotoGP talent are not the same, not even the same stratosphere.
And it's no shade. I like Toprak. I like Toprak for Superbike. I love what he's doing in Superbikes, right? But to be selling like, oh yeah, we're trying to get him to MotoGP. He did the Yamaha test and Yamaha didn't like it. Yamaha didn't see anything to even say, okay, we're going to push to get him over here. So
what I'm hearing is, I also heard as well that it's possible with the change in 2027, BMW could make a push to go MotoGP. So it's possible Toprak could do another year on the BMW and then come into MotoGP with him in 2027. But the question is, does he want to stay around for that long?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, because the problem with that is BMW ain't going to come straight in and win and do nothing.
Yeah, but it's not. But okay, it's not a case of them coming straight in and win. But given that he's the first guy to win a championship riding a BMW, they'd want to come in with him.
Okay, and we're talking about. So, if we're saying that Jake Dixon, who is currently in the MotoGP paddock, if we're talking about Jake Dixon's age for MotoGP, why are we talking about Toprak, who is 28, 27? He's going to be 30 in 2027. So you see where I'm going with this? Yeah, yeah. So what we think? Toprak is going to come to MotoGP with these young guns that are coming up, and I can't see that.
Toprak's going to come to MotoGP and get his ass handed to him. That's what's going to happen if he ends up at Moto. And the thing is, and he's not going to get a top factory bike anyway. So let's call it a spade.
Let's wrap it on that. As I said, love Toprak for World Superbike. Great talent for World Superbike, right?
But not MotoGP.
But all this little MotoGP talk, and he could come to MotoGP. Anyone could come to MotoGP from Superbike, but
he's going to realize it's a different kettle of fish.
You're going to realize real quick what happens over here. So, let's wrap it on that. Let's rate. Do you put Qatar on the podium?
Out of what we've seen so far, not really. I'll put it fourth step.
You wouldn't put Qatar as the best race of the season so far?
Really? How so?
It's the only race so far where we actually saw some action. Like Thailand was marked because of the tire pressure issue. Argentina, nothing really happened there either.
I mean, things happened in Argentina because Alex was giving Mark a hard time. Peco was having a hard time, I think, from Zarco.
I put Qatar on the podium.
Okay, I'll put him
on the podium. I'll put Qatar on the podium.
Me, I'm probably gonna put Kota 1.
You put Kota on the top step of the podium?
Yeah. Because it wasn't just because of Marquez. It was a good race overall. He had actions going on further down the grid as well. So it was a good race. Not just because Marquez crashed. Because even if he hadn't crashed out, it was still a good competitive race right down the field.
It's not only that, because I got Qatar on the top podium so far.
Well then, okay, cool. But for me, I'm putting Kota, Argentina. What are the ones we had? Hold on.
We got Thailand, Argentina, Kota, and Qatar.
Yeah, all right. I put Qatar third because Thailand wasn't all that exciting.
Yeah, Thailand.
I put Qatar third.
Yeah, I put Qatar on my top step so far this year.
Yeah, because Mark went to Pecco's backyard and whoop his ass. That's what.
No, not only that. I just think it was a racing wise. I think it's the best so far. With Maverick showing up as well.
Yeah, Santa Claus delivering some gifts.
Yeah, so I put Qatar on my top step so far. This followed by Qatar in Argentina.
There you go. All right, cool. We can work with that.
We could work on that. But yeah, once again, this is the Grand Prix project. This is the MotoGP edition Qatar review. Right? Please, if you listen, you could leave us a comment. Right? All comments are all what we're looking for.
All feedback is welcome.
All feedback is welcome. Right? You could follow us on
all social media platform.
Right? The GP project is where we're at on X. On YouTube, it's the same thing, the GP project. We're on every podcast platform, right? From Apple, Spotify, iHeartMedia, everything, everywhere you could consume podcasts, Amazon Music, we're there. So please listen, leave your comments. I do look at the comments because we just want to get better, right? We're open to feedback. And as I said, we're passionate fans of the sport. So we're here to listen also, and whilst giving you the content. So yeah, look out for the weekend in Qatar. I'm still editing those videos. It's just me doing the editing, so it takes a while. But yeah, once again, thank you for listening to the Grand Prix Project with me, your host Andre Miller, and my co-host
Neil Thanos 876.
Yeah, so 2 weeks time, no race this weekend. So
Spanish Grand Prix. Oh God,
yeah,
is that Jerez or that's Jerez, right? Or is it?
Or they say Ereth?
Ereth.
Is that what they pronounce it?
Yeah. Ereth.
Yeah. So the European
circuit de Ereth Angel Nieto.
Yeah. So European leg of the season is about to kick off. So let's see if that changes anything. There's also a test coming up. Right, so got a lot of racing left for the season. My brother already said he thinks put Mark's name on the trophy.
Yeah,
right?
Mark is just pretty much this is Mark's European leg tour championship tour, because that championship already has his name on it. They already put that. They already have that. Because they put the plaques thing on it. They already sketched his name on it. 2025 World Champion. They're just waiting. Mark just letting them wait a bit before they hang it up, because this shit is over, mate.
Yeah, and the next round we'll pick up back with Moto 3 and Moto 2. There was just a lot to discuss what happened in Qatar. It was a lot, so we on time we could only fit in MotoGP. So yeah, on that note, we'll switch off. See you in 2 weeks after Ereth, and yeah, let's go enjoy racing.
Peace.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Grand Prix Project podcast.